Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician and this is Holomancer.
Also, Chief Investigative Reporter Dora joined us this evening.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Whizbang's workshop opened its doors to the residents of Azeroth more than a week ago. During this time, visitors were able to choose the best toys for competitive play.
We, in turn, have been carefully collecting data all this time and then loaded it into our utility index algorithm to determine the best legendary cards for crafting. This time we made a lot of changes that allowed us to collect more data about popular and niche decks from different sources. This is how our algorithm works. Utility index determines the best cards in percentage terms according to a whole set of criteria. The most important indicator is the win rate. This parameter includes the overall win rate of all decks that use the card and the card's impact on winning. In general, the win rate affects the final result by 40%. The overall popularity of the card at all ranks, and separately its popularity in the competitive environment of the standard format, has a total impact of 15%. Also important is the popularity of class-specific cards within a class and the flexibility that reflects the card's usefulness in several different strategies. And finally, the usefulness of the card in other formats and modes affects the final result by 15%.
The utility index replaces more than 10 different indicators and demonstrates how important a card is to your collection. If a card receives 0 points, it is completely useless. If a card scores approximately 40%, this means that it is niche or is used in insufficiently effective decks, but at the same time it can be a potential candidate for crafting. Cards that receive more than 80% according to the algorithm have first priority for crafting.
Please note that after removing the duels mode, we were forced to change the strength of the influence of some factors. For this reason the algorithm is again at the testing stage. Before we get to the list, we want to draw your attention to a few things. Over the course of the week, we've been collecting data on decks on their way to Legend.
Due to post-release chaos, some win rates may be a little higher. The upcoming nerf may affect the top of the best cards, but we do not expect colossal changes. Let's start our list with the worst cards. Shoplifter Goldbeard's utility index is only 2%. The card is not used in the metagame in either format. Despite this, 6% of rogues use this card. But even this result can be significantly inflated since the card is part of Treasure Rogue in one of the automatic Whizbang's decks.
Colafero the Artist has disappeared from standard format. Players are more likely to experiment with a card in Wild than in Standard. But even at low ranks the effectiveness of strategies is low. The card has an impressive win rate when applied, but this is normal for combo tools. The card lost 47% of its usefulness after the expansion was released.
Only 2% of paladins use Pipsy Painthoof. The card is not used in the metagame but can be found in experimental builds at high ranks of the standard format.
In 25th place Lina Shop Manager. This card is not used in the metagame, but players continue to look for uses for it at low ranks. The popularity of the card in both formats is approximately 1%. The card is slightly more effective in Wild than in Standard. Despite the efforts of players, the legendary card is outside the meta. It's a shame that Blizzard gave us such weak cards this time.
Botface is used in experimental mech builds only at low ranks. The effectiveness of the card in the middle of the ladder is 50%, but closer to the legend the effectiveness of the card decreases significantly. Only 6% of warriors use the card. The disadvantage of the card is the low played win rate, which may indicate that the card may not have effective use scenarios. CCG is a potential candidate for crafting since the card became part of competitive play. You can find effective shopper builds at high ranks, but the problem with the card is the relatively low played win rate. This means that the strategy as a whole is slightly more effective than the influence of this card.
Aulonius's popularity is almost 2%. The card is part of the standard metagame and is useless in Wild. The disadvantage of the card is the extremely low win rate, which can put the card and strategy on the verge of extinction.
Blendiferous Whizbang's utility index is 46%. This card is one of the leaders in popularity, but the effectiveness of the card is extremely low. Overall, this is a good tool for fun and a useless card for competitive play. Approximately 14% of warriors use Inventor Boom. The card is primarily used in the mech archetype, but the few Highlander versions demonstrate more impressive performance. Due to its extremely low popularity, the card has minimal impact on the metagame. It's too early to draw final conclusions, but it looks like the warrior was unlucky with the new cards.
Next on the list is Game Master Nemsi. The card is used primarily in the Big Demon archetype, but players are trying to adapt the card to other experimental strategies. The disadvantage of the archetype is the unimpressive win rate at high ranks.
In 17th place is Magthe Dawn. The card has found effective use in several Demon Hunter archetypes, but most popular builds continue to ignore this tool. The disadvantage of the card is its uselessness for the wild format and the low popularity of the class. Both Demon Hunter cards are at the bottom of the list.
The new Hemet turned out to be not as useless as many thought. The card has found effective use in some builds of the Zoo archetype. The map is not a key element but rather an optional thing. Players are trying to adapt the effect of Sky Mother Aviana in different strategies, including in the wild format. The card, even in its original form, has some potential that is difficult to reveal due to the low effectiveness of the Druid's strategies. The upcoming nerf will definitely make the card more attractive and increase its usefulness.
Hagatha has proven to be a useful tool within Reno strategy. In the wild format, the card has a popularity slightly above 0 but is also effectively used in the same strategy. An important advantage is the high played win rate, which means that the card can significantly improve your deck. The disadvantage is low popularity. Approximately 15% of shamans use this card.
The effectiveness of King Plush is not so high compared to strategies in which the card is used. The card hasn't managed to take over the game's competitive environment, but it's definitely a useful tool.
The utility index of Puzzle Master Khadgar is more than 60%. It seems to me that players have not yet fully realized the potential of the card. Unfortunately, the mage has extremely low efficiency. Moreover, players are experimenting with various unviable strategies. The rainbow archetype's win rate decreases significantly at high ranks. Players are experimenting with the card in the XL Highlander archetype in the wild.
The new Razza is more popular and effective in wild than in standard. The card has huge potential, but priest is not in the best shape right now. Druid, priest, shaman and even warrior were able to find scenarios for using Joymancer Geppetto. The card is quite popular and the effect has good efficiency. Players are trying to find a use for the card in the wild format, but the experiments have low effectiveness.
Before we talk about the 10 most useful cards, we want to express our boundless gratitude to our sponsors.
Dear friends, your help is invaluable. We do everything possible to make our videos unique and useful.
We will be grateful for any support. Your hits on the bell icons and like button, comments, subscription to the channel and of course sponsorship motivate us and provide the opportunity to create more new content.
Thank you for your activity, and now let's continue. In 10th place is the new legendary Mage Spell. The card is the key element of the new spell archetype. The strategy is very popular, but its effectiveness is not so impressive, especially at high ranks. In the wild format, players are very active and using the card in the Highlander archetype.
Sonya Water Dancer has an important place in the rogue archetypes, but the overall win rate of the strategies is not impressive. At the same time, using the card during the match has a positive effect on your chances of winning. In the wild format the situation is similar. Players are trying to find a use for the card in the Highlander archetype. Hearthstone's popularity decreased significantly after the expansion's release. Despite this, the usefulness of the card has decreased by only a few %, since the card continues to be used by fairly effective strategies. The card is still more popular in the wild format.
It's time to talk about cards whose usefulness is more than 80%. Dr. Stitchin turned out to be better than many thought. The effectiveness of some builds reached 60% even at high ranks. The results in the wild format are just as impressive, but not all Death Knights use this universal tool. As expected, the Timewinder Zarimi effect had a huge impact on the competitive landscape. 60% of priests use a card in standard format. In the wild format, the card is used in a variety of strategies at high ranks. The relatively low popularity of the priest and the unimpressive effectiveness of the strategies did not allow the card to receive more points.
Shudder Block's effect is extremely strong and flexible, allowing the card to be used in most shaman strategies. The conquest of the wild format has just begun. The card is capable of creating completely broken interactions and will definitely cause problems in the future.
Finally, we can talk about the main surprise of this expansion. According to the overall community rating, Wheel of Death was considered the worst card in the set. Only RegisKillbin saw the potential in it, but even he could not predict that the card would become one of the most influential tools in competitive play. Our traditional reveal season video recap identifies the community's biggest misconceptions, and it's always fun and unexpected. This time we did not determine the potential power of the cards using our formulas. Even without testing, we had no doubt that the card would be playable, but we did not expect it to have such a global impact on the metagame. Huge popularity, impressive win rate at low ranks and very good performance of some builds at high ranks as well as high utility within the class are the main advantages of the card. Players even manage to use the card effectively in wild format, but the popularity of the strategy is very low.
In third place is Toy Captain Tareem. The card has become a great tool for new Paladin decks, which have proven to be leaders in the metagame. The card has become indispensable for the class. Almost 70% of Paladins use the card during the first week after the expansion's release. Players are experimenting with the card in the wild format at all ranks, but these experiments are very few and outside the meta. The upcoming nerf will cause great damage to the Paladin, which will certainly affect the decrease in the utility index, but most likely the card will not lose its relevance.
The Headless Horseman came in second place. The popularity of the new hero card is one of the highest in the set. The effectiveness of some builds that include the card reached 60% at high ranks. Due to its flexibility and lack of runes, a huge number of Death Knight strategies try to adapt the card. Players are trying to find a use for the card in the wild format, but it is very niche.
No surprises in first place. Ziliax Deluxe 3000 has become the most essential card for competitive play. It doesn't really matter what class you are, this is the card you should craft first, as it's used by an incredible number of archetypes. In the wild format, the card is also very popular and effective. In its influence and approach to design, the card most reminds me of ETC Band Manager, which was a free login reward during the release of the Festival of Legends. I get the impression that Ziliax was originally also a free reward, but at some point the developers made it a collectible. If my guess is correct, then this is a very sad trend, since this card could have had a huge positive impact on new and returning players. In any case, the upcoming nerf will change the characteristics of the card, which will make it more balanced. Most likely the mana cost of one or several modules will be changed. We really hope that this does not kill the card.
Let me guys make a few preliminary conclusions. The first expansion of the year brought us a huge number of versatile tools, most of them with the potential to remain evergreen for 2 years. This is extremely unusual behavior from developers. As a rule, the vast majority of instruments from the first set of the year become completely useless by the release of the third set. Moreover, many legendary cards are a key part of certain strategies that form the conditional core of synergy. This time, most of the legendary cards do not have direct interaction with specific strategies, which means they can potentially be used in almost any archetype. This is an unusual occurrence in modern Hearthstone.
I also want to note that almost all legendary cards are conditionally useful, at least during the post-release period. On the one hand, I really like the versatility of the new cards, but I get the impression that this approach has had the effect of reducing variability in competitive play.
In any case, we have not yet formed our own opinion about the new set. For this reason we would really like to know your thoughts. Do you find the new decks interesting and fun? Do you like the new legendary cards? Which legendary card have you crafted or are going to craft first?
Share your thoughts in the comments and join the polls in the community tab. And one more thing, we make similar tops every month, but we don't always publish the results. Next time we can publish the general top of all legendary cards from 4 expansions. If you are interested in this topic, let us know about it in the comments. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really hope that we will have the opportunity to get in touch in the next video.
Take care of yourself.
And never give up.
Job's done.